Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about the Microsoft and Nuance news and breaking down the Microsoft and Nuance partnership. I know I'm a bit late on providing this Microsoft and Nuance partnership update, but I wanted to make sure that I did my research and understand this acquisition that Microsoft made. About a week ago, Microsoft announced that it is going to acquire Nuance Communications in a $19 billion deal. At this price tag, Microsoft is paying about $56 per share for Nuance. So in the coming moments, I'll be sharing with you a quick overview of what Nuance Communications does, the price tag that Microsoft paid for Nuance Communications, and my thoughts about it. What is Nuance Communications and what does the company do? Nuance Communications as a company focuses on two main things. The first, speech recognition, and the second, artificial intelligence or AI. And based on their two focuses, Nuance operate under four different segments: healthcare, mobile and consumer, enterprise, and imaging. That is what Nuance Communications as a company does in a nutshell. With that understanding, Microsoft paid $19.7 billion to acquire the company, or $56 per share. Even for a company with the size of Microsoft, this price tag is a massive one. In fact, it is the second largest acquisition by Microsoft in its history. The first being LinkedIn, which Microsoft paid $24 billion back in 2016. So why did Microsoft make Nuance its second largest acquisition ever? Because with a price tag of $19.7 billion including that, or around $56 per share, Nuance Communications stock is definitely not undervalued at the price that Microsoft paid for it. Despite the hefty price tag and Microsoft's less than stellar history when it comes to acquiring companies, I believe this acquisition by Microsoft to acquire Nuance is a good one. And these are the reasons why. To understand what makes Nuance a good acquisition by Microsoft, we have to go back to what Nuance focuses on. And those are speech recognition and healthcare. For speech recognition, we see here that Nuance will be not only able to give Microsoft technology help in regards to neural network-based speech recognition, but also a massive improvement from vertical capabilities, call center functionality, and the MSFT IP position in speech. Furthermore, Microsoft sees this deal doubling what was already a considerable total addressable market, or TAM, to nearly $500 billion. While TAMs always tend to run high, that is still a substantial number. Over here, we see how Microsoft is able to leverage on Nuance speech recognition technology, basically from the top down. And that is why we see Microsoft mentioning the vertical capabilities of the speech recognition technology provided by Nuance. In addition, with the increasing usage of Microsoft Teams, Microsoft is also able to utilize Nuance speech recognition technology and improve Microsoft Teams. And for this speech recognition space and its users, Microsoft believe that the total addressable market is $500 billion, and that will provide Microsoft with more growth opportunities. But what I believe has even greater potential is the healthcare space. There is huge potential in the healthcare sector for tech companies. In fact, as of this filming of this video, more and more tech companies are looking or already have moved into the healthcare space. One tech company that has already made moves in the healthcare space is Apple. CNBC mentions that Apple has grand ambitions to move in the healthcare field. In the last 5 years or so, the company has built up a big internal team staffed with doctors, health coaches, and engineers. It has developed health-focused software and hardware such as the Apple Watch, and even started medical clinics for its own employees. And it is not just Apple. If we take a look at another article, we see Amazon, another tech company, moving into the healthcare industry. One of the reasons why more and more tech companies are moving into this healthcare space, firstly, there is huge potential in this healthcare space, and secondly, technology in healthcare is lagging behind other industries. Earlier on, we saw some examples of tech companies moving into the healthcare space such as Apple and Amazon. Microsoft is actually also moving into the healthcare space. Last year, even before the acquisition of Nuance Communications, Microsoft announced the Microsoft Cloud for healthcare. If we take a look at some numbers and figures over here, it mentions that the digital health market size was estimated to be over $106 billion in 2019, and the industry will grow at a 28.5% compounded annual growth rate through 2026. And the growing number of pandemic cases across the globe has increased the adoption of digital health technologies and will boost the digital health industry growth. So by 2026, the size of the digital health market is estimated to be at $639.4 billion. And that is a massive market. And out of this whole market, imagine Microsoft capturing just 5% of this market. The 5% that Microsoft captured in this market will amount to about $30 billion in revenue for the company. And just to give you some context, the annual revenue of Microsoft last year in 2020 stands at $143 billion. So if Microsoft captured just 5% of the digital health market in 2026, that $30 billion of revenue is about 1/5 or 20.9% of Microsoft's current revenue. So we can see why there's a huge potential in the healthcare space for tech companies. And Microsoft also realized that. By acquiring Nuance Communications, Microsoft is able to tap into Nuance's existing customer base in the healthcare sector. And some of these customers include Athena Health, Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, and more. So with the acquisitions of Nuance, Microsoft is able to combine Nuance AI and speech recognition technology with its own cloud ability. And I believe that if Microsoft is able to combine all these three things together properly, AI, speech recognition, and cloud ability, capturing just 5% of the digital health market is not beyond Microsoft. These are some of my thoughts about the Microsoft and Nuance partnership. The price tag that Microsoft paid for Nuance Communications is definitely steep. In fact, on the day that the deal was announced, with that price tag, Microsoft paid about a 20% premium on the current share price on that trading day. And even before the gap up in price for Nuance Communications stock after the deal was announced, at around $40, Nuance was not cheap. And with the additional premium that Microsoft paid for Nuance stock, Microsoft definitely paid a premium for the company. But like I mentioned earlier on, if Microsoft is able to combine all three things properly, AI, speech recognition, and the cloud ability, capturing just 5% of the digital health market in 2026 would mean that Microsoft is able to generate an annual revenue of around $30 billion. This is annual revenue just from the digital health market. And considering that Microsoft paid around $19.7 billion for Nuance, if Microsoft is able to realize the potential of the digital health market, what seemed like a premium right now might actually be a discount in the future. Furthermore, with the purchase of Nuance, I believe there's a clear alignment of how Microsoft is able to integrate Nuance into its own business. As you have seen earlier on just now, Microsoft is moving into the healthcare space even before the acquisition of Nuance. So I believe that this acquisition is a very strategic one that Microsoft made, and it will further improve Microsoft's ability to capture the healthcare sector space. Furthermore, with the purchase of Nuance, I believe that Microsoft is moving in the right direction and focusing on a growing and huge potential market, which is the healthcare market. So these are my thoughts and analysis of the Microsoft and Nuance partnership. Do you think this acquisition made by Microsoft is a good one? Let me know down in the comments below. If you have learned something from this video, smash that like button because it will really help the channel grow and allow me to produce more content such as this. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel because each week I release new videos about investing, trading, and the stock market. I'll see you in those other videos. To your financial success.